This public consultation is performed under the powers given to the Commission through Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka Act number 35 of 2002, Section 17B, where Commission has the power to consult any person or group of persons that are likely to be affected by the decisions of the Commission. So Commission consider this as a very important decision and therefore decided to consult the public affected through this decision.
Before the commencement of the public hearing for NCRE Tariff 2012 and 13, I would like to remind the participants about the rules adopted in this public hearing. In response to our public notice, certain parties have submitted their presentations.
I hereby declare open the public consultation on the non-conventional renewable energy tariff for year 2012-2013.
Capital cost calculation methodology. The following stakeholders have made submission during our process also. Since this is we can't do alone. Some representation made to the Ministry of Power and Energy as well as PUCSL as well as CEB. Then we consider those public submissions as well. Small Hydropower Developers Association, Bioenergy Association of Sri Lanka, Wind Power Association and other stakeholders.
I just want to highlight a few facts about the hydropower industry. Today we contribute 5% of the total electricity supply, and I think we are the only industry in Sri Lanka which is exporting engineering excellence to other countries.
And presently we are the biggest contributor and the most economical contributor to the Chintanya of 2020, 20% of the electricity by non-conventional renewable resources. So for these reasons only we say that the industry needs to be supported with an equitable and a fair tariff so the growth momentum can be continued.
There is 30 megawatts of wind plants in operation for the last 2 years. Those were 3 10 megawatt plants commissioned in July 2010. Those 3 were the first private wind power projects in Sri Lanka. When you take wind power plants, 60%, minimum 60% is on plant and machinery, which is directly affected by the dollar. So if you put those into calculation, the project cost will definitely in the range of 255 million per megawatt if you take today's cost. And this should be even higher if you are looking at developing small wind plants in the range of 1 to 3 megawatts because those plants are costlier than going for larger wind power plants.
We believe that bioenergy is the one that will give us the energy security in the future because it's firm power and there are lots of other attributes.
Now, government has recognized the importance of energy security in the country, and there's a very high-powered committee, I think, appointed to look at this one. And what we believe is it can be achieved only through non-dependence on imported sources of energy.
PUCSL has a duty and the mandate to make sure that the government policy is followed up and that you support that policy.
Who is going to pay for those ideals? You can have those ideals and work towards that, but don't get the poor consumer to pay for those good deeds. Right? Because we are in business. We are in competitive business. The consumers are for survival and the other industries and services are global, they have to be globally competitive in the global village now.
When it's inflation, why not the whole portion of the inflation but only half? On what basis is the half? And especially for dendro fuel mass, transportation cost is actually about 35-40% of the cost of the fuel mass.
Our primary responsibility is the disposal of waste. In terms of the nature of the power source, we are a firm form of power purely because we are obligated to accept waste through a large part of the year. Do it and hence have to invest in the best technologies in the world that can meet this obligation.
If we take into consideration the two numbers which are key to our project, is the cost of capital and the return of our investment, which is basically the feed-in tariff.
banks, one key issue is to considering the long-term finance, because our base depends on short-term funds. So we would also like to take more risk if it is a kind of a short-term facility which is in the region of 5 to 6 years rather than going into 7, 8, 9 years, which is possible provided if you consider favorable tariff to this renewable energy.
So in a way it's a rural development or economic development contribution. So we can't directly say that biomass is in highest tariff compared to mini hydro or other renewable energy, because major part of it, close to 50% of it, goes to the enhancement of the rural economy.
What we require, feed-in tariff, and that will enable us to develop our skills and immunity from foreign dumping. We don't want to come and place a blocks and pick it here, somebody, and also zero tax policy.
The interest rate tend to go up if the banks decides